What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on ESPN with a 10-team full PPR mock where we will be drafting first overall, so should be pretty interesting. And until we make our pick, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get into it. We are on the clock first overall, and here I'm going to keep it simple. I know the trend on ESPN is wide receiver heavy, but we're staying true to what we believe in, and that is running backs are king. Running backs are extremely important, and there's a big drop-off at the running back position compared to the wide receiver position in the later rounds. That's why we went with Christian McCaffrey first overall. Really, that's it. I do think, look, a discussion can be had in terms of who the first overall pick can be, who are, the two potential guys. I've said it before, if you're going running back, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. I've done mock drafts where I go Austin Eckler first. I've done mock drafts like this one where I go Christian McCaffrey first. If you want to go pass catcher, I've done Justin Jefferson as well. But again, I think that being able to get somebody like a Cooper Kupp later on is pretty valuable, and I don't have to spend that high of a draft pick. I mean, look, example here, we get Cooper Kupp being drafted 6th overall. I would draft him higher, in terms of who he's being drafted behind Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, but that's just me. Now, other things that I want to point out here, McCaffrey went first overall to us, obviously, then Justin Jefferson. Derrick Henry going 3rd overall, that's a big no-no here. Again, full PPR scoring, there's no reason why Derrick Henry should be going ahead of really even the top pass catchers here, considering how many receptions they're going to bring in. But guys like Austin Eckler, guys like Saquon Barkley, I could argue guys like, obviously, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard. I think you can make the argument for all those guys as well should be drafted ahead of Derrick Henry. So I don't like that. If it's standard scoring format, it's a different discussion, but it isn't, right? Now, here, Tyreek Hill goes with the 5th pick in the first round. I'm not a big fan of that either. Let me just kind of pull it up here so you can track it a little bit better. 5th pick in the first round. I think Cooper Kupp should be going ahead of him. Maybe people are worried about his injury, but I think he's going to come back before the first week of the season, so not too worried there. Then Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Stephon. Whoa. Jalen Hurts in the first round of the draft. That is what we call a bad pick. No other way around it. Look, I know when you're picking at these extremes that you have to take into account, these guys potentially not coming back to you, but there's a very good chance that Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes could have dropped to the end of the 3rd round. Now, I know there's some people that are just off their, meds, if you will, that are drafting guys in the quarterbacks in the start of the 2nd round, things like that, which I don't endorse at all, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it at the end of the 1st round. Do not draft one of these top-tier quarterbacks. I made a whole breakdown about it. Should you draft a early round quarterback? Do not draft these guys before the 3rd round. That is, I will stand on that hill. I will die on that hill. So I truly do believe in that. But look, we're back on the clock here, and we've got some interesting things going on here. So one of which is that Jonathan Taylor has fallen all the way down to us. So look, the question is, do you think that Jonathan Taylor is going to play? So I'm going to go out. I'm going to get a little bit ballsy here. I'm going to go very running back heavy, and I'm going to get 3 top-tier running backs. I'm going to go Josh Jacobs here. And obviously, we've gone running backs that are a little bit disgruntled right now. That's why we're getting them at a discount. Jonathan Taylor, who's quote-unquote out right now, But the main reason why he's out is because, he has complaints with the Colts and his current contract. Josh Jacobs hasn't signed his franchise tag. I would imagine the situation with Jacobs gets resolved first, and then with Jonathan Taylor as well before the start of the season. We will see. To me, this is a draft where, okay, let's take advantage of that and see if it pays off. It's a mock draft, and I think it fosters a good conversation to have about these guys when they drop to you and whether you should take a chance on them. I'd much rather take a chance on Josh Jacobs first. I mentioned it. And then Jonathan Taylor. But getting Jonathan Taylor at the end of the second round, it's really, really tough to pass up. But let's see what made that possible, just looking at the second round. Amon-Ra St. Brown went with the first pick in the second. Then Travis Kelce falling to the start to the second pick in the second round. One of the latest times I've seen him being drafted. So, okay, good value there. Then Bijan, Devontae Adams, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb. All this is fine. CeeDee Lamb, sure. A.J. Brown. Was really hoping Garrett Wilson would fall to us. But yeah, look, what I said before, the dip in ADP for Jonathan Taylor is very much real, as you can see here. Falls to the end of the second round. So, sure, Josh Jacobs then also falls to us. I think if you're trying to find reasons why, like I said, him being unhappy with his current contract is also a reason. But I think right now, again, we saw it with guys like Saquon Barkley, who ends up, finding a resolution. We saw it with guys like Austin Eckler at the beginning of free agency, trying to, maneuver his situation, but ultimately just figuring out a situation and probably having one last year in LA. I think we can see something like that here with Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs, because the fact of the matter is these running backs, it's unfortunate, but their contract situations are really, really bad. They're being underpaid, and sitting out does not benefit them. It really does not, because then the way the contracts are worked out, they can get refranchised. That year doesn't count in terms of eligibility wise. It's tough. So I really don't think running backs are at all incentivized to sit out. Then after our Josh Jacobs pick, we had Ramondre Stevenson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Waddle. Again, Jalen Waddle was somebody we were considering. T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, DK Metcalf, Josh Allen. So look, I said it. One of these top-tier quarterbacks is going to fall to the end of the third round. Jalen Hurts went with the last pick in the first round. Josh Allen went with the second to last pick in the third round. There's your example. Devonta Smith with the last pick in the third. The fourth round, some really good value here. Chris Olave with the first pick in the fourth round. I love that value. Again, we've done a lot of mock drafts where you guys know how I feel about Chris Olave. I wanted to mix it up here, and again, opportunity to discuss guys like Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. I didn't want to pass that up. Breece Hall, he's on my do not draft list. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Keenan Allen, tremendous value for Keenan Allen in the middle of the fourth round. Then Dameon Pierce, Mark Andrews, and TJ Hawkinson. So now we're back on the clock, and we've got some decisions to make here. Looking at the situation, I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley as one of our wide receivers because, we've addressed easily the running back position. We don't need to look at it again. I will say Alvin Kamara's value here has skyrocketed as we predicted once the news on the suspension fully kind of went into effect. So now who do we go with here? Do we go with somebody like a DJ Moore for the high upside? Do we go with a Deebo Samuel? I'll take a chance on DJ Moore and then see what happens afterwards. We could have gone in the way of tight end. We could have gone a quarterback and somebody like a Lamar Jackson or a Justin Fields, but I think that Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence might fall to us. Let's see if that is the case. It'll be the sixth round, which is typically right where Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence are going. And I feel pretty good about that. So Rachaad White, Darren Waller went after our picks. there's still some good value at running back, but I do think that McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs are kind of in that upper echelon of running backs. So when they're healthy, at least you know what you're getting with them is basically what I'm saying. So we went DJ Moore, then Rashad White, Darren Waller, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Deebo Samuel. Here, I anticipate some of those, leftover running backs are going to be drafted. I mean, it hurt my heart to pass up on Miles Sanders. I believe he was still there. Let's see. Miles Sanders was still there. Alvin Kamara is still there. So at this point, they become, absolutely amazing values. And one of the reasons why, if you can make an argument about why you shouldn't go, 3 of anything in the first 3 rounds, is because afterwards, if you really want to construct a roster, kind of balanced and not have big drop-offs, you're going to have to pass up on some guys because, from a value perspective, I think Miles Sanders was a better value than a DJ Moore. Just pointing that out. And, but this is the point of these mock drafts. We put ourselves in situations where it's a little bit tougher, where it's a little bit trickier, and see if we can come out of it unscathed, if we can come out of it with a solid team, and discuss our decisions throughout and what led to them, et cetera, et cetera. So looking at these other selections here in this, what would it be at this point in time? I've lost track in this 5th round. So after we went DJ Moore, Darren Waller, Jahmyr Gibbs, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Joe Burrow, George Kittle. I was wondering if George Kittle would fall to us. He doesn't. Oh, well. Jerry Jeudy, James Conner. Sure. Then Miles Sanders with the first pick in the 6th round. That is insane value. Wow. Chris Godwin, Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Fields. So we've got 3 picks until it is our turn to make another selection. Alvin Kamara just went. Great value there. Deontay Johnson. So the good news is we're going to get one of our quarterbacks, whether that's Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence, we're going to see right now. And then we can even get, still a pretty decent wide receiver. We can wait on tight end. I know we're going to probably miss out on Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert, and we actually miss on Kyle Pitts right now. So that's going to make our decision a lot easier. Here, look, we can go with the stack of Trevor Lawrence with Calvin Ridley, or we can go with Justin Herbert. I personally have Justin Herbert ranked a little bit higher, so I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. And then wide receiver, I think Terry McLaurin at this point in time is a good value. I think Mike Williams is a good value. And I think Marquise Brown is a really good value. So, the way I've been doing it is I have Marquise Brown, especially in full PPR scoring, ranked above all of these guys. So I'm going to stay true to my board and go with that. Potential injuries with him is a little bit concerning, but we'll monitor that situation as we get closer here to the start of the season, and then we can readjust things if needed. But yeah, Terry McLaurin and Mike Williams are also really good value picks. So now we're probably going to make 1 or 2 more selections here and then wrap this thing up because we've gotten some people on auto pick, things like that. No use in seeing defenses or kickers being drafted, but so far this has actually been pretty accurate. I mean, even look at the start of, the 7th round. We went with Marquise Brown, then Cam Akers. Alexander Mattison there is a good value pick. Trevor Lawrence, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams, so all those top values at best available players being selected as well. So, yeah. Oh, Brendan Ayuk as well, another good value pick. So, all things considered, so far, so good. I think we've done a good job of getting some wide receivers that have very high upside to pair up with our, I won't hesitate to say it, the best trifecta of running backs that I think we've put together in a single mock draft. Again, there's a reason for that. People were worried about their status, but in mock drafts, in fantasy football, I will say the bold are usually rewarded. If you're willing to take a risk, a lot of times you're going to be rewarded, if it's a smart risk, right? Selecting somebody like a DeAndre Hopkins early on when he's joining a bad offense and knowing his injury history and his age, I would say that's a bad risk to take on. But, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, guys that aren't dealing with severe injuries, guys that, again, for all the reasons that I mentioned, are incentivized to play this year. I think that's what you call a risk that's worth taking on. In the 8th round, we've got David Montgomery, Tyler Lockett, and Dalvin Cook. Okay, so kind of just taking a final look at this in terms of guys that I like. Let's draft one tight end here so that we can kind of wrap this thing up and looking at tight ends that we can go with. I like Evan Ingram. I like David Njoku. I think they're both solid selections. Freiermuth, I'm not the biggest fan of. I've already got Calvin Ridley, so I won't go Evan Ingram here. I'll go David Njoku and then highlight some tight ends in the later round that I also like. But let's go with probably another wide receiver here. So who do we like? Michael Thomas. I'm a big Jordan Addison believer, so I'm probably going to go with him here. And then we're going to wrap this thing up. Overall, I think we rebounded okay. Yes, the wide receiver situation could be a little bit better. But ultimately, what this comes down to is what happens with the running backs. If they all suit up week 1, play the majority of the season, I think this is a B+ roster. I think it's a very solid roster. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.